All right. Good afternoon, everybody. We're gonna we have a packed house today. Um, we'll give some people some more time to join. What I will say is, we are going to do a Q&A at the end. So if there's anything that you want me to cover, we can go through some of those questions at the end. Um, I'll do my best to answer anything commercial credit related for you guys. So give you guys a couple minutes. Hopefully everyone's having a fantastic Wednesday. The first 2 months of the year have flown by here. So, all right. See, give you guys one more minute. Okay. All right, guys. So this is a collaboration between Lili and Dun and Bradstreet. What we'll be covering today is mastering business credit, build, strengthen, and succeed. My name is Christopher Decker. I am a small business sales manager. I work with small businesses every single day. I actually used to be a small business owner myself. I went to school for that, around finance, marketing, anything business related. I'm passionate about, helping companies go from small to medium, from medium to large, no matter where you are within your business life cycle. I just really enjoy small business because it's the background or the backbone, I should say, of this country. How small business goes, how the U.S. economy goes. So um, uh, every day I have teams out there that are consulting small businesses, trying to provide them an education. There's a lot of misinformation at times that you'll find online. So anything that I can clarify, definitely let me know. All right, so who is Dun& Bradstreet? If it's new to you, um, Dun& Bradstreet, we are the world's largest source of commercial insight and data analytics. Most companies assimilate us to being a credit bureau. We are not a credit bureau. We do have our own set of proprietary scores and ratings that we assign companies, but we help companies find truth and meaning through data, and we provide solutions for them to make themselves look good in the marketplace, make sure that they're informed, they can gain insight on others, but also find others to position their good product or service to. So there's a plethora of things that we do at DNB, but once again, not a credit bureau. Now, what are we going to cover today? What we're going to learn today is how to establish, manage, strengthen your commercial credit, plus how both Lili and Dun& Bradstreet can support you in those efforts moving forward. If you look on the screen here, we're going to cover why having commercial credit matters, what is really the impact of that. We'll kind of do a high-level overview of commercial credit 101. You'll kind of meet Dun& Bradstreet a little bit closer. We're going to review how to actually build out your portfolio. Then we'll gain a better understanding of scores and ratings, things to avoid, and then where both Lili and DNB fit into that process. At the end, we'll answer any questions. So that's the agenda for today. If you look at the screen here, this is actually an interesting statistic. This is the source of this is Dun& Bradstreet. Businesses don't necessarily fail because they have a good idea. Businesses don't fail because of a lack of effort or even sometimes a lack of knowledge. It's really a lack in cash flow and understanding how to manage money going in and out of their business, right? 82% of businesses fail because of that. So if you think about cash flow and what it really is, think of it as a funnel, right? If you don't have enough exposure and people don't know that you exist, whether you're trying to get exposure online through social media outlets, people use Instagram, Facebook Marketplace, they use a bunch of different things, building their own websites. But they may be targeting the wrong audience or they don't know how to actually execute marketing or what marketing works. And then if they don't have money coming in, they can't meet their obligations. And in listening to calls every single day and interacting with customers, they try to borrow a bunch of money so that they can then try and market themselves. It's a dangerous thing to do because what happens is they'll borrow a bunch of money. Their idea may or may not work, and now you swallow all the money. And they're dipping into 401ks, savings, trying to launch something, and sometimes it can be a crash and burn situation. So managing your commercial credit, building something that's separate from you, is definitely going to be something that is extremely important for you as a business owner moving forward, right? Even if you're established, right? Well, I like to pay cash for everything, or everybody knows who I am. Everybody doesn't necessarily know who you are. And cash is great, but think about scenarios where you may not have cash, right? So those are just things to be mindful of, all right? Now, if you look here, having business credit and having commercial credit established, it allows your company to borrow money, establish terms, and pay for these things later on, right? So what you're doing there, it's improving your cash flow so that you have the opportunity to service your customers. Ultimately, that's what you're trying to do. You don't necessarily want to intertwine both your consumer and your business together. I'm not saying that that's going to happen in every instance, but it ultimately depends on the institution that you're working with. This is actually interesting. The source for this statistic is the Small Business Administration. 72% of business owners do not even know that they actually have business credit scores and ratings. So, and I can only speak on behalf of Dun and Bradstreet, but from the moment that Dun and Bradstreet is able to capture a company's information. Now, there's multiple ways that a Duns number can be generated. One, you can apply for one. Two, we're collecting information from public sources and we find out, let's say example, you register with the Secretary of State or you're conducting business. We may generate one for you. Thirdly, you might have a company that wants to do business with you. They have a contract with us where they wanted to run a credit check on you. That could prompt an investigation and a portfolio could be generated. So a lot of companies, the reason I'm bringing that up, the different ways that a file can be generated and scores can be generated, is that companies will call in trying to apply for a DUNS number and they already have one. So 72%. So that's almost three-quarters of all small businesses don't even know where they stand, what their scores are, but yet they're going out and they're applying for things, and it can be frustrating. Like, well, I'm being denied, or it does not necessarily work like how our consumer works. There are some key differences there, and we'll go over that in more detail, but just keep that in mind. Now, what is the importance of having commercial credit? Most people think that I've interacted with, they're focused on the short term, just trying to get through the day, get through the month, just trying to survive, especially sometimes with how the economy can be. But having commercial credit helps you potentially grow. It can solidify you as a company long term. It helps others to feel comfortable working with you, depending on what your scores and ratings are. It mitigates the risk that someone is taking on you, but even yourself, if you wanted to assess someone, let's say you're going to partner up with another company and or do business with them, and they're asking you to, spend your time, money, resources, inventory, and send them an invoice, you might want to do your research on them first. One bad credit decision, either side of the aisle, can be detrimental. All right. Um, Depending on where you are in your business life cycle, if you look at number three, it's you talk about business valuation, right? If I'm trying to borrow money, what is my company worth? What am I making? But let's say hypothetically, I was trying to exit the business. If I want to sell my company, a lot of times these businesses that want to purchase you or are looking, they're going to inherit your relationships. So the better that you look on paper, It can potentially increase the value of the company and also make you more creditworthy when you're trying to borrow money in your earlier stages of business. Um, Obviously, establishing credibility. If you offer a great service, you provide, world-class customer service, competitive pricing, building credibility with both your customers, other third parties, vendors, suppliers, it's really important. If you represent yourself well on your website, over the phone, or through email communication, you want that to match on paper. So think of your commercial credit report almost like a resume, and then any sales and marketing efforts that you execute like a cover letter. Now, um, like I said earlier, preserving personal resources. Many of you on this call probably have sacrificed time to put savings together, retirement, and you have a dream. You have a dream that you want to execute on, and you want to preserve those personal resources at all costs. So having some type of separation that provides you flexibility in shopping yourself around with whether it be different finance companies, different vendors, different suppliers, having this built up, it's extremely important. And the last thing is, if you're looking to get access to capital, you as an individual only have so much coming in as income, right? Whereas your business, your gross annual revenue, your sales that you're making, you can potentially borrow more money because your company should be making more sales than what you're taking as a paycheck. So uh, it's just something that can help you all around, no matter where you're at. Here's a quote from Philip Alves from Dev Squad. Strong business credit helped us improve cash flow and accelerate product development. Why is that an important quote? What I want some of you to do right now is just think about where you are within your business. And if you were able to get the loan, get the line of credit, take your terms from COD to 30 days, 30 days to 45 days, potentially being offered discounts, for paying early and having that liquidity. What would you do with that extra money that you actually had on hand then at that point? What would you actually invest in? How much relief, not just from a financing standpoint, but from peace of mind? Because trust me, I remember when I was a small business owner, I was like, well, some months are good, some months are bad. Some months we're eating hot dogs, some months we're eating steak. So um, you want to make sure that you have this, in play, to help yourself moving forward. Little business credit 101 for those of you on here that may not understand the difference between commercial credit and personal credit. Obviously, on the consumer side, that's directly linked to your Social Security number. That is based on your individual credit history. Obviously, that credit history will go back many, many years. Um, I'm not going to say in the beginning, if you're at the very beginning stages, that you would not have to potentially use that as part of a process. But it is often used to fund businesses, and it can hurt your scores and ratings and limit growth as an individual just because you're trying to support a company and yourself. Some of you may have kids that are in school, you're putting them through college, you have car notes, mortgage payments, rent, leases, whatever it is. Um, you don't want to have your debt to income ratio get out of whack there and cause you problems or stunt the company growth. Whereas on the business credit side, think of every time that you give out your tax ID, right? There's no credit report that is directly identified with your tax ID. Someone is going to have to look you up by name, address, phone number to do that, right? So if you give your EIN number to a financial institution, they may have a third party that they use to assess risk. Dun & Bradstreet just happens to be the world's largest and most known for these particular things. All right. Now, also, business credit shows your company's ability to manage and repay debt, not you as an individual. I know some companies that have exemplary business credit and their personal credit suffers, or vice versa, or they're waiting to fix their personal credit and then build their business. That makes no sense. If you get things into the company, your personal credit should right size itself because you're not using it and relying on it for everything. But creating some type of separation, it does exist. Um, you know, this is something that Dun& Bradstreet has helped companies with for 185 years. So now, there are other business credit institutions out there outside of Dun& Bradstreet. You have Experian, you have Equifax. In the UK, you have CreditSafe. There are also industry-specific credit companies. An example of that, if you're in the seafood industry, you might have CFAX. In the transportation industry, you might have TransCredit. So do your due diligence. And I will also say this, if you go on and you try to work on something like this through a third party that Dun& Bradstreet does not recognize, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. You definitely want to talk to an expert and get the breakdown, on how to potentially influence your information. And we deal with this on a regular basis. But what do these institutions report, and why is this information important? Company name, address, age of the company, how many employees you have, uh, history, operations, public filings. And then each institution has its own set of scores and ratings. We have different scores and ratings at Dun& Bradstreet for different audiences. It's not all based on just how you pay your bills. Um, Dun& Bradstreet has very specific algorithms to um, compare you to other companies of similar age, legal structure, size, whether or not you rent, lease, or own your space. They're very intricate. So if you're concerned about where you stand, keeping this basic information up to date and current is extremely important as you move forward, right? But if you have any bad debts, collections, that information can make its way to your commercial credit. Even as an individual, if you're an owner, a member, or an officer of a company, if you have something on your consumer, that information can also get to your company because you're the owner. So be mindful of that. Now, what can you do as an individual to maintain this or even potentially improve this, right? The first piece is, look, if you have the opportunity to pay ahead, do so. Pay your bills on time. Number two, make sure that all of your information, no matter what bureau it is, right? Or whether it's Dun& Bradstreet as a data analytics company or Equifax or Experian, make sure your name, your address, your phone number, all those things are up to date and current. The last thing you want to do when you're going through some type of financing is have a discrepancy come up and cause an unnecessary delay. And then you have to provide additional documentation. Well, your address is showing here, and this is what they have, and your phone number is here, and it's wrong. Those basic things are extremely important. Also, if you can't afford, an accountant, a bookkeeper, just make sure that you're extremely well organized with your financial records. Make sure that you keep up on your tax returns. Make sure that they're filed. There's many companies that first start out that the tax thing is very foreign to them. I would always recommend having somebody to do that, do their bookkeeping, or um, you know maintain their receipts and oversee that stuff so you can drive the day-to-day operations. Last but not least, and it's something that's very confusing at times. It's amazing how many companies don't actually monitor their credit. It's almost like it's an afterthought, but it should be on the forefront. If your company is what's paying all your bills, both personally and professionally, I would absolutely want to know where I'm at as a company in case I need something, and also for peace of mind. So, if you need to dispute, and disputes happen all the time in business, something gets delivered, it's damaged, it doesn't come at all, someone's sitting on an invoice and it's not processed, or a payment's not processed, you want to make sure that you're able to visibly see things in real time and react accordingly. If you have a request for your information, you should be the first one to know about it, not having someone else tell you those things, right? So what we're going to do now, there are multiple scores and ratings that obviously Dun& Bradstreet generates. Okay. These are three examples of some of the scores and ratings that D&B assigns. The first one is probably the most historic and well known. Paydex. We'll go over the details of that. All that is a dollar weighted average of how many days within terms you are likely to pay someone. This is not your business FICO score. I've heard it described a million different ways. That is not the case. A Paydex score is solely based on how you pay your bills, and that's it. If you're going to draw a correlation to a FICO score, there are multiple components to a consumer score that would actually, I really don't even want to make a comparison, but the closest thing that I would compare it to would be either a financial stress score or a delinquency score. But a delinquency score, this in the middle here, goes from 101 up to 670. This is actually an indicator of what is the likelihood of you being severely delinquent, and being 91 days beyond terms on average. And then to me, this is one of the most important ratings that Dun& Bradstreet generates. There is what is called a D&B rating. D&B rating can be based on a few different things. It can be based on size and how you pay your bills, or you can have it based on uh, your net equity and your net worth and how you pay your bills. So if somebody's going in, for example, the rating on the screen, I would know this particular company has a good composite credit appraisal. That's the number on the back, and the number and letter in the front. That tells me what they're worth. So this company is worth anywhere from 10 million to 49.9999 million dollars. All right. So taking a little deeper dive. Now the Paydex score goes from 0 to 100. Okay. Um, 80, which is another thing that I hear often. It's like, oh, I want to get an 80. Well, you can get an 80. All an 80 tells someone is that you pay on time. And then I have companies ask me like, well, who reports to you? So they think that this is the only thing they need to worry about. Let me dispel that. You can have three payments for $50 from companies that may or may not share information with us, and that show up on your file, and you can have an 80 Paydex score. But what I want you to think about is if you have $150 on your report, how much do you think you could potentially leverage off of 150 bucks? I'm not going to give the answer. I'm not the institution, but think of all the money that you guys spend day in and day out. That's the information that you really want to focus on in getting that information to your report. And we can talk more about that later. But um, for those of you that are being offered a discount or the ability to pay in advance, you want to have a score of 80 or better. Every point that you're above 80, that's a number of days that you're anticipating payment or you're being offered discounts. I know it may be rare, but it is possible to have a Paydex score above 80. Every point that you're below 80, that means there is a number of, uh, there may be some slow payments on the report, which you can always dispute or have rechecked for free. We have a maintenance portal called Dun's Profile Manager. You can update any of your basic information for free. You can upload financials for free. You can do disputes for free. Very, very simple. You can do it right on the company website. Very simple to do. Now, better that this looks, if I'm paying on time and there's a substantial amount of history there, that can potentially be favorable when you're working with other companies. So pay your debts on time. When you are setting up new accounts or if you have existing accounts, I would ask them. It doesn't hurt to ask, hey, who do you report to? Um, you know, and then some of these companies, they may want to reward the positive payment behavior and share that information with DNB. We do have what is called a free trade tape exchange program where companies can voluntarily report information on others. There is a set criteria. You have to have a substantial amount of accounts to do so, but definitely something you want to do. Last but not least, monitor your credit. Get an education on your scores and ratings. Look for discrepancies, check it. I would look at it multiple times a month if possible. I'm a little bit crazy with my own consumer credit. I pretty confident I look at it every day, but this is what I do for a living, so that would make sense. All right, DPS score. Now, with all Dun& Bradstreet scores, the delinquency score there's going to be a numeric value, and then there's going to be a class associated with that. So think of it like a sliding scale, right? You want to have a low class and a high score. This just lets people know what is the likelihood of you being severely delinquent, 91 plus days or more, and seeking relief from creditors in the next 12 months. Now, if you think about from a small business standpoint, I don't want somebody that is going to have a low score, someone that's going to be high risk. Um, what can influence that? Well, if you have trade lines reporting where you have a substantial amount in the now owes or past due column, there are slow payments, there's a bunch of public filings, UCC filings. It can look like you're in trouble. If you have high utilization and a bunch of secured financing where you don't have a lot of assets freed up, that can negatively impact that score. So, you definitely want to understand the key factors impacting your scores from your dashboard. Now, with Lili, you are able to see these scores and ratings from your dashboard. You can link your business bank account, and you can ensure just by being proactive that it's not only that you're paying your bills on time, but it's showing up accordingly. All right. Um, and we'll go into that a little bit more later. But the D&B rating, think of this like a almost a report card. This is your overall assessment as a business. So some companies they choose to voluntarily share financial statements with us. The only other way that we would have financials on a company is if they were publicly traded. I don't necessarily think anyone on this call is publicly traded yet. If you are, kudos to you, but that's made public knowledge. Um, if you're publicly traded. So 3 years of financials are best. I would recommend doing that year over year so you can show whether or not you're improving, whether or not you're growing, what is the difference between you and another company in your industry or in your space. All right. We get phone calls all the time. Hey, what's my rating? Hey, what's my rating? I have to send out a proposal. I have a customer asking me. I'm filling out a vendor application. So if you don't know where you stand and you just fill it out, you definitely want to take a deeper dive into your actual report as opposed to just looking at it like a checkbox. So happens pretty often. So submit financial statements, pay your bills on time, establish trade lines with suppliers who report to Dun& Bradstreet, or you can provide statements to Dun& Bradstreet and we can scan those documents and potentially build your credit out. So these are all things that we do to help with those things. Now, I'm gonna take a deep breath here. There are many things that you can there are many mistakes you can make along the way. It doesn't necessarily mean that they can't be corrected, but here are some things to avoid. Try at all costs to not mix your consumer and your business together, right? You don't want to mix paying things with your personal debit card for your business. You know, having receipts all over the place, not having good records, missing payments, paying late or not communicating if you are late. Um, if you have errors on your whether your credit history or even your basic information, not updating that information. Um, Sometimes people try to sprint before they can even crawl. Companies aren't always denied credit because they have bad credit. They can be denied for credit because they ask for too much too quickly. A lot of companies don't monitor their credit and then they have no idea where they stand. And then if they're denied, they end up blaming the institution that holds the information, right? We want to, Lili and Dun& Bradstreet want to partner with you as business owners to make sure that you're informed, you have an education, and you know how to attack this thing. Obviously, it's the purpose of the series that we're on today. But even simple things, not having your company registered properly, not maintaining your LLC or your articles of incorporation, not establishing trade lines or reporting the information to agencies on what you've already done. Some companies overextend themselves and overuse their new lines of credit, and then they can fall into this um, what I call bad. There's good debt and then there's bad debt, right? Good debt will acquire assets that will make you money. Bad debt is, we're paying for things that we can't afford yet, and that can be a problem, right? So, um, Lili and Dun Bradstreet, we have the Business Build program. Essentially, you'll be able to access, you can search for your company through the application. You're also able to see your scores and ratings. You're also able to acquire a secured credit card. You can connect your Lili bank account to your Dun& Bradstreet profile. That portion is free. You will get essentially what is called our Credit Insights Basic built into the app. You'll also have expert guidance. You'll receive emails. You'll also receive videos on how to actually take your company credit to the next level. In reference to the Business Build card, it is a secured credit card. There are flexible credit limits. To my knowledge, it does go up to $50,000. So between the flexible credit card, monitoring your credit, there is no credit check, there is no personal guarantee required, and there is no interest. So think about that. Extremely helpful. A lot of consumer cards, especially when you're first starting out, depending on your scores and ratings, they could be 10%, they could be, upper 30%, especially if you're using them for either balance transfers or cash advances, uh, and also the fees. Want to avoid that. So, with this, you're going to be able to track 6 of your scores and ratings through your app. You can search for your company and be able to see it right away. D&B Paydex score, your DPS score, your failure score, the overall rating, your supplier evaluation risk rating, and also something that I think is extremely important, your credit limit recommendation. Now you'll know what Dun& Bradstreet actually recommends to your company at that moment in time before you apply. So you kind of know what range you could potentially be approved for, and shop yourself around. You will receive real-time alerts if there's a change in your scores, ratings, or any of your business data. And by connecting your Lili account, that does a cash flow analysis. We utilize Plaid integration. It can have a positive influence in just one business day to your delinquency predictor score and your financial stress score. You're also going to be able to spot early risks, see your key factors. It'll give you a in-depth breakdown that are by order of importance on all of your scores and ratings, and you'll be able to see your full business profile. So you're going to be able to see what someone else would see if they were to run your full profile. The benefits of this program between Lili and D&B, you'll receive a step-by-step ebook on how business credit works, why it matters. You'll have resources such as myself, tips, articles designed to help you build and maintain the report, and obviously the series that we're executing so that you can continue to build their portfolio, utilize it to your advantage, and gain that education. So, step-by-step guide if you guys are all new to this. If you haven't done so, register your business, get an EIN number. If you don't have a business bank account yet, open one with Lili. You will be able to search to see if your company has a DUNS number. If you do, you can claim your DUNS number for free. You can set up the Lili Business Build card. And then once you do these things, I would start, just by through your normal transactions and using the Lili card. I would explore business loans. There are many institutions out there that do use Dun& Bradstreet as part of their process. In fact, the majority of the major institutions can use it as part of that decision making. Make on-time payments, track that progress. You'll be able to monitor and maintain your scores through your Lili account. Very, very simple. Follow this step by step. And capital is the lifeblood of any business, but especially small business. So if we're able to help you, improve your cash flow, obtain the capital you need, you guys will have a better understanding of how to move forward as a business, a clearer picture. Doing this isn't smart, it's essential. So let's help you guys start taking control of your financial future for your business. All right, guys. So I know there are probably many questions. So let's see here. What do we got here? What questions do you guys have for me? Let's see here. Uh, let's see here. Yeah, I mean, my email is, and I'll put it in the chat here, guys. I mean, my email is deckerc@dmd.com. If you guys want, um, if you guys want to speak, to one of my agents or speak with me directly in regards to your portfolio, I'm more than happy to assist and take a deeper dive. There are so many things that you can do as a small business. Um, Carlos, it's a great question. The question was, should I fix my personal credit before I apply for business credit? They're they're separate, Carlos. So if you can, even if you don't have exemplary consumer credit, you can still build your commercial credit. Remember what I said earlier. If you transition that focus, uh, from using your business or using your consumer to support your business and focus on building your commercial credit file, start to be rewarded for the things that you're doing, right? Get that stuff to paper, make sure that this resume and this cover letter, whether it be Dun& Bradstreet, Experian business, Equifax business, that's where I would start. All right. Um, So the second question, when you're starting your business, what's the best thing to start off doing is getting a loan. So think of it this way. When you're starting something new, I wouldn't necessarily recommend going into debt and right off the bat because you have no idea whether or not, Kyla, whether or not the business is going to stand up. And then you're still on the hook for the loan. And you really don't have anything to secure it against outside of yourself, right? So you may have to try to focus on getting customers and you may have to use some of your own personal funds to start, and then setting up accounts that are meaningful to your business and getting that data to your report. Once you start making money and you can show income, then okay, now that I know I have a steady customer base, I have my messaging, I know my target audience, then I would start going out there and seeking financing at that point. Yes, I can repost my email. It's my last name, my first initial at dmd.com. Let's see here. Oh, my fault. Let me see here. Hold on, guys. Uh, Q&A question. Sorry, guys. If you upgrade to the Lili plan, where we pay monthly, will the payment be reported as a business trade line? My understanding is that if you do use the Lili secured card, as you pay transactions, I do believe that that information will report to Dun& Bradstreet. Do you have to do the debit card and accounts to get the build card? That would be something, Lydia, that's something that I would definitely consult with Lili on. I don't want to speak out of turn. Um, Craig Parsons, how much should we expect to pay to build business credit? Uh, Most of the trade lines I see are useless to me or overpriced products. It depends on what you do, Craig. I mean, you have to understand if your business is already operating, you don't necessarily have to set up trade lines to build credit. It's a fallacy. You have things that you pay for every day You might have a CPA, you might have an attorney, marketing spend, advertising, other vendor and supplier accounts. You might have business credit cards already that you receive monthly statements for, fuel accounts, maintenance accounts. It's just setting things up under the business name so you receive a bill, whether it be an invoice or an actual statement. Now, if you are think of it this way, this is where I think hopefully this will all sync up with you guys. If you are a privately held company, what you do payment wise is not public knowledge. The solutions that Dun and Bradstreet provides allows you to tell Dun and Bradstreet, hey, here are my documents, here are my statements. I would like to share that with you. Can you rerun the algorithm on my scores and ratings? And yes, we can. That's called our Credit Insights Plus. You guys are more than welcome to reach out. Now, for those of you that are just starting, though, definitely would take part of the Business Build program through Lili. You're able to see your scores and ratings real time. You get the you get the credit card, the secured card. There's no inquiry. There's nothing negative. There's all positive outcomes that you can have, all built in one place. I would start there, educate yourselves, and then you can obviously change that at any time. All right. Um, as a newly established business, what are ways to build business credit quickly? I already have a Lili business credit card. Keep in mind, I mean, it all depends on what kind of credit are you seeking. Are you looking for a revolving line of credit? Are you looking for a loan? Do you want vendor credit? It just depends. And when you say quickly, that's relative to the urgency that you have. Okay. More than happy to have a conversation. You guys can always reach out. I do not have a Paydex score. Is this because I do not have Net 30 accounts? Um, in order to have a DMB Paydex score, you need at least one account on terms. The others can be cash. So if you are paying COD for certain things, cash experiences can show up on your report as well. So a lot of you guys that are set up with some of these third parties, they might be reporting something as a cash experience. If everything is reporting to your DNB file as cash, you're not going to generate a Paydex. Um, I am a new business, not open yet. I have a business account with only my personal money. What should I do to pay that back once I open? Um, are you saying like paying yourself back? Um, I mean, I would consult an accountant in reference to that. I mean, obviously, if you file an LLC or a corporation, anything that you take personally is going to be considered income. So I would definitely put some tax money aside. But like I said, I would definitely consult an accountant or some type of professional on that. Um, Can you link a business bank account outside of Lili to show revenue flow? You can link other banks as well to your D&B report for this particular exercise, though. If everything's all in one place, that's one of the benefits of actually going through Lili. It's a one-stop shop for multiple things. So um, yeah, I would do that. Is the subscription payment eligible for a write-off status? Once again, Chip Sale, I would consult an accountant. It depends on if you used up all your deductions. It also depends on the state. So once again, consult an accountant if you can. Now, if you guys have, let me see me go back here, go back to the chat, the other chat. Sorry, guys. Oop. Being a sole proprietorship, will this affect loans and how vendors might look at the business? A sole proprietorship is a person. A sole proprietorship is a person operating most likely with a DBA, that is doing business as. So, for example, like when I first started my detailing business, obviously my name's Christopher Decker, but I was doing business as in the public as every last detail. I don't have a legal structure. I don't have an LLC or a corporation to separate from me as an individual. So if you're going if you're going to apply for a loan as a sole prop, you essentially are Shariah Cox. You are the one that's most likely going to be backing that loan. So it all depends on what your consumer credit looks like. It doesn't necessarily mean that you can't have good business credit scores and ratings for your DBA. I would recommend filing an LLC or a corporation, getting a tax ID, and creating separation. I would not recommend operating as a sole prop, especially from a potential legal liability standpoint. Um, so it could be uh, it could be a problem. Um, I have a Lili business account and would like a secured credit card and a loan to grow and expand. What do you recommend? Um, it all depends, Carla, like where you're at. This is for Carla Laguna. It all depends on what I want you to think about is what specifically do you need to expand and then monetize that? And do you have an before you decide to do that, do you have enough money coming in to cover the expansion or the time or the resources to maintain that? These are the things that you have to map out first. If you do, then um, make sure you have the credit on things that you've already done historically. Been in business for 2, 3 years, whatever it is, make sure you have that on paper. Then start shopping yourself around, giving out your tax ID, see what you could potentially be approved for. Once again, through the Business Build program, you're going to be able to see your credit limit recommendation, see how you're currently rated with Dun and Bradstreet, um, and then there's like steps to it, right? Um, but you want to have both. What do I think of Dovely AI as a credit repair tool? I think people are. I listen. I use AI every single day, in general, but I would always recommend uh, working on your own and understanding it yourself. I don't want to rely on something else. I want to have that knowledge myself, right? That's just my opinion. You can take it for what it's worth. Um, let's see what else. You guys are more than welcome to email me questions. You guys have any concerns about, your profiles, scores, ratings, what does it mean? Um, I will say that you guys are in fantastic hands with Lili. They're a phenomenal partner. So put in my email there again. Once again, it's my last name and my first initial. I'm going to try to get to some more of these questions. Still got time yet here. Let's see here. Do I recommend a particular company that shares info to DNB that is a 30 or 60-day billing? Diane Wellworts, this answered your question. I would recommend asking companies that are relevant to what you do day to day. I don't want companies going out there and just setting up accounts just to set up a trade line and then they call in and ask where it is. Right? If you're going to spend $50 a month just so something shows up on your report, you're spending more money that you don't need to when you could simply report things that you already pay for, right? Let's say you leased the building. Let's say you paid an accountant. Let's say you did have a credit card. These are things that you can tell Dun and Bradstreet that you do through our extended data, and we do provide services to help you guys build what you already have. And you have a free maintenance portal through Dun's Profile Manager to upload financial statements and do disputes and update your basic information. Sometimes just updating basic information can influence your scores. So hopefully that helps you there. There's no magic bullet to doing this, guys. In fact, uh, uh, the whole trade line thing kind of drives me nuts. To be honest with you, I've been doing this for so long. It's like, what trade lines? It's like just by paying your bills, they're either going to show up or they don't. And if the stuff doesn't show up, you have complete control whether or not it does or not. Um, This is for Jerome. For a startup with no revenue, what is the safest way to build credit without creating repayment pressure or damaging utilization rates? Um, well, what I would what I would really recommend, Jerome, is focus on, depending on what your business does, I would try to figure out what your go-to-market strategy is, who your target audience is, and try to get some customers and get some revenue built first. You may have to use some of your personal assets to do that. And then once you're actually operating, then some of the things that you have paid for personally, ask them to set up a business account, make sure you have a legal structure in place, a tax ID, all of that. You can't go 0 to 100. It has to be a incline. Unless you can find somebody to invest into you. There are venture capitalists, angel investors, different, companies that if you have a good business plan, you have a great idea, maybe they'd be willing to potentially take a percentage of ownership of the company that you start to, if your idea is fantastic. These are just random things that are coming into my head over the years, guys. So let's see here. At what point should zero revenue business be using business credit for operational leverage versus keeping it strictly for profile building? Um, I wouldn't recommend that a zero revenue business use credit at all. If you're not making money, you shouldn't be going into debt. That's just my opinion. Um, What is your email address? Once again, my email address is deckerc at Delta November Bravo DNB.com. Let's see here. Um, can I add my credit cards like American Express to my DNB account? Dun & Bradstreet does. I think we have an extended data service that Dun& Bradstreet does offer through what is called Credit Insights Plus, or our extended data concierge, where you can actually upload statements that go through qualification, verification, and potential acceptance. So if you start here with this and you want to go from there and take it to the next level, keep in mind, get the education first. Understand what your scores and ratings mean. If you see a whole bunch of things that aren't there, just understand between Lili or DNB, we have solutions to help you execute and try to grow your profile and then execute the business. So hopefully this has been educational for you guys. If you guys don't have any other questions, I sincerely appreciate the opportunity. If you guys have a no, Shelly, I'm not. I know you're late. I don't discuss a FICO score. We don't have necessarily FICO scores in the commercial credit world. So remember, deckerc at dnb.com. If you have questions in regards to the Business Build program, please go online, check everything out. I appreciate you guys. Be blessed. Have a fantastic 2026, guys. Take care.